Okay, so the first thing, this is going to be like part one kind of like the tutorial. You just want to get your horse and your background, make sure they match. Like they don't have to match perfectly, but just make sure that they're at least kind of similar. So you want to make sure your horse and your background are already uploaded, and this is going to be like the part one, cutting out the horse. So there's going to be a lot of like zooming in and out and like twisting, so if you kind of don't like that, then I'd assume that you don't want to watch this video. So this is the horse that we have. The horse is from Adobe stock, and the background is not that one, this one. This is from Unsplash, and I assume that these two would go fairly well together. So we're going to take the eraser, and I like to use the felt tip pen in the soft pen, and go in with about a small brush. Doesn't really matter what size, just as long as it's small. And just start cutting it out. And you're going to want to go around the entire horse. Basically, just go around the whole horse and make sure that you didn't miss anything. I like to go like fairly close. I like to cut off the whiskers, because if I want the whiskers, I'll just re-add them. So yeah. Alright. So, by the way, you guys are going to be seeing this page a lot. This is the horse Eden page. I'm just going to be using it because that's how I have to in order to switch in between pausing it and unpausing it. But I was going to show you guys this right here. So basically, with your brush, you don't want to use the big brush in order to get into places like this, because it's going to make it look really weird. So you want to definitely downsize your brush to very small so that you can get like in between there without leaving like a huge circular indent on the ears. And just make sure that you're getting as close to the horse as possible without cutting off pieces of the horse. And I'll show you guys some parts that I cut off and some parts that I don't, just that's a personal thing. You don't have to, so yeah. Alrighty, so we're back, and I have almost the whole outline done, but there is some parts that I was going to show you guys that I like to modify. So like this part, especially for example, I don't like this like growth of hair on the back of his leg. So what I'm going to do is basically just cut it off. Like, I don't know how else to explain it, just erase it. And especially the feathers, I get rid of the feathers. That's a personal choice. Sometimes I leave them, sometimes I don't. I just like the clean look. And of course, make sure you get these tiny, tiny details. And that's how I would do that leg. And so I'm just going to do that with all of the feathers, and then I will be right back. Okay, so we have all of the feathers trimmed and stuff like that. But another thing that I like to do is kind of like trim the feet, I guess. Like, I kind of always make a joke that I'm kind of basically like a digital farrier all the time, because I have to always constantly be trimming hooves and making them look nice. But I always do that, just like some of them are always really long and weird. So I always like make them look as professional as possible. So I think that right there, that looks about right. So remember, this horse is also in like a savanna type place, so I will be getting rid of parts of the bottoms of the feet just to blend them into the background. So yeah, that's that. And then the next part, unfortunately, that we will be trimming is this area. Like the genital area, especially on stallions and geldings. I like to clean it up a bit just to make it look more proper, I think, because some of those horses, you have to have a mare and then you're working with a stallion stock photo. So I just like to trim it up a little bit. It doesn't really matter that much. Like, I think that looks a lot better. So that's how I would leave it. It's quite simple to do that, honestly, but another thing that I do is the tail. So I draw my tails and my manes. So what I'll be doing is I will be cutting off most, if not all, of the tail so that I will be able to draw one that is better, in my opinion. So basically, I just leave it like that. Cut this part right here off. Do like these little chunks because I don't think it really matters. Like, I'll be covering it up basically anyways. I just want to leave part of the tailbone as a guide so that I'll know what shape the tailbone is, how long the tailbone is, just so that it's better for the base of your tail. So I will get back to you when that's all finished. Okay, so now that the outline is all the way around the horse, there is almost nothing attaching this horse to the background that it was originally in. So what you're going to want to do is take an even bigger brush than what you were using, and then just go like this. And you're just going to remove the background and get more space in between the rest, like right here versus the horse. So you're just going to want to clean it up. This brush is a bit too big, so I'm going to go with a smaller one. I work with one that's about this size, and I like to just go around the whole horse again, and then there will be a next step of erasing. So now this horse is perfectly spaced out from the rest of the background that he was in, so one of the final steps of erasing is just going to be getting a bigger brush, and the most satisfying part is just erasing the rest of that background. I think it's the most satisfying part. So you just want to make sure everything's clean. Obviously, you don't want to erase parts of your hoof while you're doing this, so you really have to watch where you're putting the brush, just to make sure that you're not accidentally erasing parts that you didn't want to erase. And so now our horse has no part of the background he was originally left in. So that's him finished, but always, always, always remove your background layer and make sure that there's no other parts of the original background left on him. So that right there completes our part 1 of erasing. So I'll see you guys in part 2 for the next video.